everybody. It is Tony Stevens, the Director of Development for the American Council of the Blind on this first day of September 2020. And we are very, very excited to share with you today an imagination that's taking place on the internet by sharing what could be. We have been launching over the past 6 weeks our acbvoices.org blog, which is an exciting place where we're putting together a collection of stories. And we wanted to bring together two special people here today to help, in a sense, really drive forward the acbvoices.org blog in the month of September, because we are dedicating September, that's right, the entire month of September, to sharing and celebrating the stories of Americans who are blind and visually impaired. So with me today, I'm very fortunate to have Anthony Corona, our fearless communications intern, but he's so much more than an intern. Hey, Anthony.
Hey, Tony, thank you so much.
And also we have the ever so popular from the ACB Advocacy Update podcast, Claire Stanley. Hey, Claire.
Hey, great to be here.
I feel so dramatic in my introduction, but
I
we're
like
all
it.
just, in a sense, family of ACB.
It fits you very well, Tony.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take that too.
I miss my performance hat that I got to wear when we were doing the convention. But hey, everybody, thanks for joining us on Facebook, for tuning in, for those that are checking us out. And hopefully maybe this is up on YouTube as well eventually. But what we're wanting to do is really share with you, and we're going to be sharing it more in the podcast this week for ACB Advocacy Update. So those that are not subscribed already via iTunes or your favorite podcast player, we've got Claire on hand to share with us a little bit about that, because the episode is dedicated all to the acbvoices.org blog. But first I want to start it off with Anthony, because Anthony Corona, Anthony, you've been playing a huge part in getting the blog up and running. And we're very excited to really start pushing hard in September to really gathering the stories and experiences of Americans who are blind, because that at the core is what the blog's about. So share with us a little bit about what the blog is, how people can get to it, and specifically how people can be empowered through having their voices heard on it. So Anthony?
Well, thank you. So, I mean, first and foremost, it's called ACB Voices for a reason. It's for all of us to take our individual experiences or some of our shared experiences and pass them through the ACB community and the community at large, because as we found out during our virtual convention, you know, there's a lot of eyes on us that aren't necessarily ready to jump in with both feet and be part of the ACB community, but they can definitely check out the blog and see what we're doing. We have a very phenomenally successful Facebook group that spawned out of the community calls and the need for us to all have a space to gather and communicate and, you know, commune with each other outside of the calls. And, you know, with all the various streams of communication that we have for ACB, we wanted to find a way to open up storytelling voices, to open up advocacy arenas, to get to know various parts of the organization that we may not necessarily interact with or involve ourselves with often, and it can all be under one heading, one blog, you know, hence ACB Voices. We've done some stuff with storytelling, and stay tuned, there'll definitely be some more to come, but, you know, what better place, what better way to do it than to create a blog that's for all of ACB and put it together. We've had conversations about voting already. We've had conversations about the successes that some of the states have had. We've had conversations about our ACB Angels coming up every month, every month we're looking to highlight one of the ACB Angels already. There's a tab for ACB Radio, a tab for ACB Community, which is basically around all the stuff that Cindy and her posse are doing. Amazing stuff. If you haven't done a call yet, you really should get on something that interests you. You know, and then for people like me, who is not only an intern, but also heavily involved in ACB Radio, I can direct some of my guests and or friends to write blog postings. You'll see tomorrow we're going to post an awesome article from Jim Crott in Florida about his music box collection. He has music boxes that date back to the late 1700s, and he talks all about it. So, you know, it's a little bit of everything, but the idea really spawned early on so that we could share our COVID experiences and sort of archive it. But it morphed. The more we talked about it, the more we interacted with other people, the bigger it got. And now we're talking about origin stories, angels. We're talking about, you know, feelings around social justice. We're talking about voting resources. I mean, you name it. And Claire can definitely talk about all of the advocacy areas that this blog will be helpful for. These stories that we post, whether they be, you know, a situation around COVID or a situation about not being able to accessibly vote, all the various things that touch our lives, the more we have an archive for, the more material we have to take forward when we are advocating in whatever space we're advocating. So, I mean, that's really a nutshell overview of the blog at this point. And it'll grow. It'll be a million things before it's finalized in its true voice. And the true voice is all of our voices.
And that's what's great about it, is it's extremely organic. And with ACB, with the convention and the success through ACB Radio and our podcasts and everybody getting into the community, you know, we've started to have so much going on that we thought it would be good to have sort of a place where all of that sort of convenes and intersects. And at the same time, a place where anybody in the organization, or you're not even to be a member of ACB, but you can go and you can have a voice and you can have your voice heard, which is the core of advocacy, right? And that's why we're excited. This week, tell us a little bit about the podcast coming up that's going to drop on Thursday, Claire, that focuses specifically on that. But what do we have coming up down the pipeline?
Yeah, so for those of you who aren't familiar, we put out a podcast in the advocacy space every week, but it's really ballooned. It isn't just advocacy. It's kind of everything that ACB as a whole is doing here in the national office. So this week, the podcast comes out every Thursday. So this Thursday, right now, it's Tuesday. So in 2 days, I know what day of the week it is. I'm proud of myself.
Hard in Corona time.
That's right. So this Thursday, we have a whole episode, an hour long, committed all to the blog to teach you guys what it is, what it includes, who it involves, which FYI, it involves everybody. But the podcast this week will talk to some familiar voices. Cough, cough, some you're hearing right now on this Facebook Live. But it has a couple other voices too that you guys should tune in and listen to hear just a wide variety of ideas on where the blog came from, what the idea is, what the intent is, who the voices are behind the scenes. So just kind of a fun overview of, from soup to nuts, what was the origin of the blog and what do we hope it to be? And surprise, surprise, like Anthony implied, we don't even know where it's gonna go. That's the fun thing about a blog and a new project with ACB. You know, it can start somewhere and then it can continue to evolve and grow. And we're really excited to see where it goes. So definitely tune in. It'll post on Thursday, but of course then it's out there in the ether for you to download and listen to indefinitely. So we encourage everybody to check out ACB Advocacy Update that'll air this week and hear all about the blog. So,
and talk just a little bit, because you mentioned, I mean, and this is kind of the core of you know, giving people a voice, because advocacy means to speak on behalf of others. But
yes,
what's great about the blog is it's a place where people can speak up themselves. And you know, you can't magically wave a wand and empower someone, but we can create an environment where they can empower themselves. And how can you envision, both of you, you know, just by having a space for our voice, because we are living in historic times. There's no question about that.
That's
Why
what I
have a voice now, and how can this be part of that voice to empower people?
Yeah, so I'm really excited. So I believe Anthony had talked about earlier the different pages that are going to be on the blog, and one of them is advocacy. And now what I'm talking about definitely applies to all the different pages, but because I'm biased and advocacy is in my job title, I'm focused on that. Like Tony said, the advocacy portion is somewhere where everybody can have a voice. If you listen to our podcast, Clark and I always say, reach out to us and tell us what's going on. We want to hear from you, because, you know, we're just two people who we like to hear what's going on, but we only have so much limited resources. We live in one part of the country. We don't know what's going on everywhere. But through hearing from you guys, we learn so much. We get ideas. So that's why, like the name of the blog implies, the voices. We want to hear the voices of all of our members and even beyond. So in the advocacy portion of the blog, Clark and myself intend to put out posts about different advocacy projects we're working on. And we want you guys to comment and write replies, because we want to hear from you. Again, we're just two people. We don't have all the answers, but we know you guys have so many great and exciting and creative ideas. So you can respond You can also write your own original advocacy posts, again, about issues that we're not even cognizant of. So we want to hear from you guys. We want to learn from you guys and get ideas and have that two-way communication through the blog.
And at the core too is the voices for just the stories. You know, one of the things we really wanted to do is build out kind of as a time capsule of what life is like now, but particularly from stories that sometimes you feel like maybe your voice isn't being heard or isn't loud enough amongst all the other voices going on in this space. So, you know, if you're someone, a person of color, and if you're engaged in the Black Lives Matter movement right now, if you're LGBTQ, if you are someone that feels like maybe your voice isn't always heard, this is a safe space to help elevate and amplify that voice. So, you know, we have a goal of 1,000 voices is my crazy goal that I have come up with, but it's doable.
I think we can do it. Yeah.
4.2 million Americans that are blind.
And the wonderful thing about a blog too is that, you know, once your voice is out there, you know, you can get support, you can get comments, feedback. You know, what we learned in the community calls is that people are itching to be there for each other. They're itching to commune and communicate on issues that affect, you know, all of us or some of us in certain areas. And the best way you can start that conversation is to put a blog post out or to, you know, interact with a post that's up there. And I wanted to, if you don't mind, when I was in school, I took a lot of creative writing and journalism courses. And one of the things that really stuck with me my whole life, we had a professor that really wanted us to get into the style of knowing how to present a story. And, you know, he always said over and over again, if you want to know yourself, write your own life story. If you want someone else to know you, write that story, edit that story, and then share that story. And ACB Voices is the perfect place for us. There's definitely a dedicated section for origins where you can tell who you've been, who you are now. You know, we definitely want to hear things around social justice, the emotions involved in it. You know, ACB is a very diverse organization if we want to be, but we have to step up and use our voices to show the diversity. It's one thing to want to be part of a diverse organization, but it can only be that way if we actually step up and use our voices to show how diverse we really are. So please send in some postings to ACB Voices surrounding your feelings and thoughts on what's going on in the world today too.
And you can share that at voices@acb.org. So if you email your ideas or suggestions or a story, you know, we ask that people be respectful is one of the key things. And we ask that people be, you know, willing to let us sort of walk with you. And sometimes not everything is ready for prime time, but we have folks that can help out on that. Anthony, you've been doing such a great job of sort of leading in this project, and we're really thankful for that. So thank you. Thank you. But yeah, so voices@acb.org. All right. Wonderful. Yeah. Well, download the podcast, check it out, ACB Advocacy Update on iTunes or Google, wherever you get podcasts. And be sure to visit acbvoices.org for September. We're going to be highlighting a lot of stories and experiences of people from across our organization, remembering those who have come and gone, as well as celebrating those who are alive with us today. In the meantime, everybody stay well, be safe, and we can't wait to hear your story and share it with the world. Thanks.